it is difficult to attract talent and find strong product managers. We've had roles for months and months, sometimes multiple quarters open. Like maybe in that time, we could have spent that on bringing someone up to speed and training them and then working with them. I think it is indeed challenging if you have a smaller company. I don't think you can afford it. You probably need one large enough organization and a growing organization.
You kind of pay a good salary.
Well, you do work for us, you will get paid for it.
Do you think it can be considered as an internship?
We had a lot of demand, 700 applications across the 2 locations.
Do you have a scorecard?
We did create a scorecard.
Do you guys have a profile that you are looking for?
Great question. So we have a lot of the content from last year. This year is a lot easier. We just need to press repeat now. We want to have 100% of them shipping products successfully in the first year. So I'm sure it's the same for every company, but it is difficult to attract talent and find strong product managers. So there are 2 options that you have, right? Either you go out to the market and bring the strongest people in, or you grow them internally. And so we obviously do both. We obviously hire people from the market, but in some of the markets, such as Budapest or Tallinn, it's a bit harder. There are fewer companies that operate in these markets. Estonia in general is small. Budapest doesn't really have a very strong tech company presence even. So you said we also want to give it a go on the other side to start growing talent internally. And since we had done Product Academy in our previous roles, we said, all right, why don't we relaunch the same program or a similar program here at Wise, and bring in potential people, grow them through the academy, and then unleash them. So the idea was, like, this was the basic idea. There was not a lot of convincing that we had to do. And then obviously the feedback loop is not very quick, right? So you won't find out in 2 months whether this has worked or not. So the first season of the academists are still with us, all of them who graduated, and we'll see how they perform, how they grow into their roles, etc. And we are monitoring that very closely. But yeah.
I was thinking why other companies might not want to actually have similar program, similar product academy. One of the reasons is that you kind of have to spend a lot of resources on training people. Like you take product managers' time, engineering managers' time. It takes time for people to learn the context of your business, etc., etc. Like, what kind of evidence did you provide that yes, this investment is necessary? Especially as you said, with the payoff is with 1 year lag at least.
So thinking about this, I think it is indeed challenging if you have a smaller company with 3-4 product managers, and you want to bring a 5th or a 6th one along, and they rely on the first 4 to train them up. I don't think you can afford it then. So you probably need one large enough organization and a growing organization where you can do this, because the large enough organization allows you to support and create this ecosystem. Because in the grand scheme of things, yes, it does take PM's valuable time, but we have over 100 PMs at Wise. So, in any given week, one of them doing a 2-hour lecture and, maybe 2 more hours to spend with the academists. It's not a massive investment. If you do that on a, 4-person product team, it is massive. And also the growth of the company, so that you can create roles for these people, is important as well. And as we are still growing at a good pace, we can ensure that we have roles and teams for the academics who graduate.
Probably marketing, HR, recruiters' time on it. It's not that big of an investment then. Or
it is, but we've had roles for months and months, sometimes multiple quarters open in Tallinn or even in Budapest, and we couldn't find people. Like maybe in that time we could have spent that on bringing someone up to speed and training them and working with them so that they gain that valuable experience.
Do you think there is some sort of like an actual advantage of just sitting and waiting for like quarters and quarters for actually like senior enough middle maybe product manager instead of hiring someone, onboarding, teaching, and everything? Like, do you think there is a what kind of a case would be more preferred?
I think you need both, right? Like I said before, you want to bring in experience, but also there's a lot of value in creating opportunities internally and growing your own people. It adds a lot of value to the company and to the culture, and not just for those 4, 5, 6 people who actually made it through the academy, but culturally in general. Wise, like we can see how, and we do invest a lot in our own people, right? Um, and on like my own personal example, had I not been given that opportunity in my previous role, I probably would have never made it, right? It's hard to become a PM and enter that job if these opportunities are not there. And I see some of these guys who went through this last year as well. Like I think they would have struggled, or it would have taken them a lot longer to find a product role elsewhere. But now most of them are like really shining, and they are bringing a lot of impact to their team. We would not have been able to capture that value as an organization had we not given them that opportunity. So it's really finding that potential in people versus the experience, because they just don't have it yet.
One thing that I'm still a little like surprised that Wise is they're not you are not only doing this program, but you also guys you kind of pay a good salary. Like you guys actually pay 3,700 euro before tax, at least for a Tallinn role, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I was surprised that at first I thought it's kind of like an internship where you go for, okay, 3, 6 months, you learn about the company, and then you get an actual offer. But no, here you get it from the beginning. How did you rationalize that? Yeah, it makes sense to let's go and pay normal salary, because sometimes you cannot find even any salary for any sort of internship, not only for product managers, but for anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So this requires a leap of faith for most people, right? Like more often than not, you leave your secure job behind, something that is tangible, something that you've been doing for a long time, um, and so expecting people to do a role for 3 months for free. But personally, I don't think it's fair. They 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 also invest a lot into this, right? So it's not like we are the great almighty company who who can afford this, and then we do you a favor and invite you to join us. But it's a big investment from all the applicants as well, and we wanted to create an appealing package, right? So it's not about doing job for free, uh, but we pay you well, and we pay you on the market rate. And then if you're successful, then you'll get a lot of opportunities to grow at the company. But ultimately, you're giving all your time and energy into this for 3 months, which personally I don't believe should be for free either. So there's not a lot to rationalize on this, to be honest. Internally, I think it's just part of the culture as well. You do work for us, and you will get paid for it. It's not like some sort of funky trick that we are trying to do to get people to work free for us.
I bet that you had quite many applications, not only because of the salary, but
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, so we had a lot of demand. That's true. We had, I think this year we had nearly 700 applications across the two locations. So a lot of people expressed interest. And I think by making the program appealing, it had a lot of benefits to us because I bet there are lot of talented people from those 700 applications, and it gives us the opportunity to choose the ones that we think are best, and we will select six for the second season. Um, but all the credit goes to our recruitment team who will have to comb through the initial large volume of the applications, and then after that we'll narrow it down to a couple of handful.
no. How do you think about candidates? Like, do you have any sort of like a scorecard, like X experience in project management, experience with engineering, plus 5 points, plus 10 points? You got most points, so welcome to the final.
So we do, and because not a single person interviews all the candidates, we did create a scorecard for this, and and the, and what we're focusing on is not the experience, but more sort of the potential and as we discussed earlier, the mindset. Like, are you able to understand the problem, dissect it, then figure out what solutions you can have for that problem, and then prioritize them. So last year we even had a home assignment that we gave to all the candidates who we invited to an interview, and we asked them to present it back. And then there was a scorecard that we used so that all the interviewers could evaluate the presentations in a fairly similar way. And then we looked through those, had an internal calibration, uh, ranked all the applicants in the end. So we looked at communication. Communication is the job. You might have heard this from others. Like, that's very important, and it's also you can learn and pick up some of the like public speaking and writing skills, but it's probably harder. So we expect people to be very strong at their communication skills. Then we looked at some role experience, as I mentioned, like working with similar teams. Not that you have to be a PM before, but at least like seeing this in action. When we looked at data centricity, just how much you care about measuring the results, and whether you have any examples. Also looked at their presentation on the home assignment, how they how they plan to measure the success of what they were suggesting. Then looked at passion. I personally think that's something that you can't really teach people. So it's important to see that once you come in, this will be hard. So we expect you to have a fair bit of like enthusiasm about the role, about the company, about the problems you want to solve. And then lastly, we want you to be like customer focused. So always try to think about how you solve a problem for a customer. It's so easy to divert from this in our day-to-day, grind, and just focus on trying to solve a problem. And sometimes you need to step back and just reevaluate, like, am I still solving this for the customer, or did I just get stuck in a loop? So these are the things that we were looking at.
And let's say if there is a person, let's say a student who just graduates, but from engineering or I don't know, business or design, do you think it can be considered as an internship, or it's rather for people with experience?
So if you come out, or if you're fresh out of uni, and you're new to the job market and you need to learn the ins and outs of like how companies operate, then I think there will be a lot of new stuff that you need to learn. Like imagine if someone comes out of uni, they need to learn what it's like to be a fintech and the whole like fintech domain space. They need to learn how Wise as a company in general operates. They need to learn what it takes to like how a product team operates, plus everything that is related to becoming a PM. So I think it's it's a lot to pick up from the start. And what I recommend is I think 2 or 3 of these you can start picking up in other roles and gain that experience. Maybe learn also for yourself about what that role really is like. Because one of the things that I see often, which is probably worth mentioning, is because it's so hard to define what a product manager's role is like. You can describe it. It's somewhere between engineering and UX and the business, and then you are this magical triangle in between. But what it's like on a day to day, it's hard to explain to people. And because we're all different personalities, some of us really thrive in under pressure and with ambiguity, and some of us are really stressed by that, right? Like for example, personally, like stagnation or when things are not moving much, that frustrates the hell out of me because it's just the way I am and that's my personality. But I know that some people who try to who's who thought from the outside that becoming a PM is like you get to launch a lot of things, you get to work with people, but you also have a lot of this like ambiguity and uh, lack of clarity around what you need to do next, and you need to have that drive. And these people, some of them failed because this is not something that they enjoyed doing or not something that they got energy from. And so I think it makes a lot of sense. I guess this is the point I'm trying to make, to get a bit closer, half a step closer to what it's like to work in a team like this, observe it firsthand before making a commitment to this. So that's why I recommend to anybody who hasn't done this or hasn't worked with product teams before to try, give it a go, become a project manager, start supporting a team or work on some problems that are close to a product team like this. And then through that, you'll be able to get a sense whether this is something for you or not. And if it's not, then it's all good as well. But it's a very costly way to figuring it out, like going through an academy and then you invest 3 months of your life. And then in the end, you turn out, this is just not for me. And then you go back to doing something else, right?
Do you guys have any like profile that you are looking for in your head?
We do require some experience from the candidates because it's again a bit to narrow down the pool of the applications. But what we require is like have at least 2 years of experience in a role previously. It could have been another product owner or product manager or maybe project manager role where you have seen some of these teams in action.
But do you think there's any like adjacent like role that people who want to become product people that they should apply for? I don't know. Some people say go and apply to customer support. You go to customer support and then through internal mobility you can go and become a product manager or something in product. Like
Yeah. um I think customer support is always a good start, I think, in any career, because you learn a lot of things through that job. You first of all build up the context and your internal conviction about how the product works, what breaks, etc. So in general, this is something that I think I'd recommend to anybody. Do support rep or a customer support role, at least for a little bit. Um, um, but I think over time, like obviously you want to deviate from that, because if being in an operational role is very, very different compared to working on larger scale projects, dealing with stakeholders, dealing with ambiguity, uh, solving these open-ended problems. So I think what helps, or what I've seen, it's my own experience, like most of the people who are not yet PMs and end up being PMs, have worked in a product team previously, or at least have seen uh, close up how these product teams operate. So this can be engineers, this can be designers who are part of a product team, but also often we see project manager type of people who work on some larger scale problems, try to solve them, and then they realize that they enjoy this part of job. They get closer to, I don't know, engineering teams, to designers, start solving problems, and through that, they sort of grow into this role and build up the muscle, how to identify opportunities, how to, scope down what solutions you might find for those problems. So yeah, I think that'd be my answer to it. Yes, you can start as a customer support agent and be very close to the customer, but then you probably want to move into some sort of technical project manager, project type role where you can really fine tune the craft of execution. And then once you got that down, then you can move into the more like sort of ambiguous space of dealing with open-ended problems and building a product in general.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, how did you how did you step in the shoes of like product person?
I started working for a company called Agoda, which is an online travel agency. And I started as a salesperson, right? I was in the tourism. I knew how hotels worked. And over time, I realized that I really enjoyed solving complex problems, and I just started doing stuff on the side that was painful for some of our sales teams and some of our operational teams within Agoda. And over time, I joined this project management operations, business operations team at Agoda that helped solve these problems in a more formal way. And through that, I could gain that experience. Worked a lot with engineers, even though I wasn't officially on that product team, but I worked a lot, very closely with them until a point where, at some point I had my own team and then started dealing with them and, did that job. And then when I left Agoda, I left it for this product academy role, specifically, because I struggled with the same thing, right? I wanted to find a product role. I could say, look, I've got a ton of project management experience. I worked on large scale transformational projects, etc. But I didn't even get invites to interviews most of the time, because they're like, oh yeah, but actually done product management before, and I haven't. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I joined the Masses, went through the academy, and started, gaining some experience through that.
Um, so we kind of talked that if you are fresh from university, maybe try to find some sort of an internship or maybe some more experience, because there's going to be so much in this 3 to 6 months, especially for fresh from university. So maybe it makes sense to get more experience somewhere else, because it will be more beneficial for you. And the other point is, it's nice if you had some experience in project management, product ownership, technical project management, program management. Oh my god, there are so many, so many of them. Engineering, design, or something close to it, because in this case, you would see, you would understand somewhat what product management looks like working with ambiguity, stakeholder management, strategy, working on this products, how it all works. And then kind of the last step was actually making this last step. And after this discussion, it feels like the last step is actually going to some sort of product academy.
Yes, the other alternative is that, which I've seen many people succeed in as well, is you find a role in the company that you are at, you find a role and then you just grow into it. And some people, I know we have some really talented product managers here at Wise as well, who started off as as a fraud agent, and they grew over time. And then after a while, they were the ones who the PM back in the day always went to and like asked the person like, "Hey, can you help me out here?" And then over time, they become part of the team, and they help support the team, or became a project manager of some sort, and then became a PM. So they grew into this role. I think that's another path. But not everybody has this opportunity, or not every company has this clear career path that you can grow into it. But if you worked on some similar projects, then maybe the other path is join the academy.
Yeah, like for bigger companies, there is enough of this room. Like you go, you specialize in something, you get enough context, and then just, as you said, grow into these product roles. Last bit, fun question. How many applications, like, I don't know if you actually have this data, but how many applications were submitted using ChatGPT? And how many of home tasks will be done with ChatGPT?
Great question. I hope not too many. And I think this is a headache for many of us who are leading people or interviewing for roles. I don't have the number, but hopefully not too many. Just be careful because it's very easy to spot if something is not done by a human, and this is just the beginning, right? Like getting through the door. ChatGPT isn't gonna do the PM job for you at the end of it.
I was talking to one product manager, and I think he mentioned something like 50% of their applications or 50% of their home assignments are done with ChatGPT, and they detected, and now it became a bit of a issue for them, and now they're thinking like how to change the home assignment so that like it wouldn't be like so easy to cheat on or something. Yeah, and but overall, if you reflect back on the previous season and now there's a second one, how do you think, was it a success? Will there be season 3? Should people wait for it?
Right now, I think that there will be season 3. I think it was successful. We have 4 strong product managers growing in the company. We want to have 100% of them shipping products successfully in the first year of their time. That's something that we'll look at very soon. This is just the 6 months mark now for most of them. So checking in with all of their leads, how they're doing, what they've shipped. And the goal is that they move from the associate PM role to a product manager role, so one level up within 12 months of time. If they manage to do that, then the program was successful. But we won't know that until next March, I suppose, or next May, actually.
Any other metric that you look at?
So we looked at this. We look at the engagements. Obviously, we want to have them complete the program. We also did a little NPS survey with the academies to see how they felt throughout the program. And the last one that we wanted to do, which is more of an operational thing, but wanted to build it in a way that it's scalable. So this doesn't need to be this handcrafted program that every time we need to figure out. So we have a lot of the content from last year. So this year is a lot easier. All of our content is there. We have the speakers. We just need to, I'm exaggerating, but we just need to press repeat now, go through the recruitment process, and then do some fine tuning based on the learnings from the first season. And then just launch it again.
Your product managers prepared everything, or did you hire?
And not just PMs, right? But we had a session on how to work with engineers, which was prepared by one of our senior engineers. Then we had something on design and UX research, which was equally done. We had something on compliance. So various different people outside of product contributed to this program, because that's what it's like to work as a PM.
Nice. Sounds amazing. I mean, waiting for the next season and definitely applying myself. Well, actually, no promises, but maybe. If you're looking for a job or you're looking for something, how to step into the shoes of product manager or associate product manager, definitely make sure to check out Product Academy. Thank you, Kristof.
Thank you, Nikolai. It's been a pleasure.